All right, legends. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing absolutely fantastic today. We'll be analyzing the situation here. 15 minutes. We got CPI data. Will it be bullish or bearish? Make sure to get your votes in, guys, right away. We'll be doing the technical analysis here for the price of Bitcoin, talking about the bullish case, the bearish case, levels to take into consideration. Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button, guys, on your way in. If we do get to 500 likes, we'll be doing a $500 giveaway. So make sure to smash it up, guys, on your way in. We'll be going through the comment section, and let's put a bit of background music here because it's about time, guys. It's almost Friday. Almost Friday. So we need to get those beats going on, guys. Get ready for the weekend. Let's say hello to the beautiful community. We can see Pac-Man here. Holy moly. CPI data coming in the next 13 minutes. They expect it to be slightly higher than the previous month. If it does come lower than expected, we could expect a gigantic, massive pump, guys. Right? If it's going to be 2.6%, if it's going to be 2.5%, imagine, right? But I think higher is expected, right? Higher is expected ever so slightly. If it does come even higher than expected, then we could get a major corrective move, right? At least a move to the downside. So get your votes in, guys. What do you think is going to happen here with CPI data? We got 100 votes right now. 65% say bullish. 35% say bearish. Interesting. We got some data here from the previous CPI, guys. And we have seen corrections in the previous months after CPI, as you can see here. Okay, these were the ones from June, July, August. I don't know, man. Is this one going to be bullish? We just get continuation. There is the possibility of this movement to the downside to be a finished corrective structure. And it's all the way up to Valhalla here, guys. Up we go to all-time high. We have broken out from the inverted head and shoulder. And we actually revisited the neckline just yesterday. Very nice indeed, right? Pretty interesting resistance support flip, right? For any, people that are looking for basic analysis. Damn, that is pretty accurate. Where we have broken out yesterday, retested as support, and continued to the upside to at least test the highs, right? Kind of pretty simple thing, right? When we do take a look at, these simple resistance support flips, inverted head and shoulder. This was also the previous week high. Basically these highs right over here from the previous week. Back testing as support. Super simple, easy peasy, guys, right? Let's go through the comment section. We'll be discussing the different scenarios. Of course, the major levels of resistance and support. We never know how the news is going to perform. I don't like pumping into CPI, guys. Pumping into CPI is like, But overall, it could absolutely rocket. It could dump. We just don't really know the outcome, right? So if you are in any positions, it is preferred to keep them small, stay safe, right? If you are looking to position yourself, let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community and see what's going on. Enrique, hello, my man. Shan, Andy, how are you, my man? I'm doing very well. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic as well. Everybody here on the stream. Let's go. Nate, how are you doing? Daniel, Pac-Man, my man, always here giving love and support, the same as Daniel. Rave Song, good morning. Hola, Nate B. Let's just claim the lows one last time to open swing longs to all-time high. Very true. Interesting day. We do have, for sure. Interesting day. When likes to the moon? That is a good question, my man Pac-Man. When likes to the moon? I'm already short. It was nice SFP before the news. Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. We do talk about this on YouTube, right? If you do have a good strategy here, when you do have a big move to the upside with high volume, which did happen yesterday, and you get the choppiness, right? I got that high volume circle here. It is worth, like, for scalping and to protect position, right? enter with, you know, significant capital. You got your stop loss above the highs. So SFP from here, stop loss at the high. You protect, you get stopped out, another SFP, another SFP. These are kind of sniper trades where you just put stop loss at, you know, above the wick, you be defensive. It depends on your style of trading, right? Just look for nice little movements of a few $100s, be defensive, take profit, right? It all depends on what strategy you're looking at here. But after such a big move that we had yesterday with high volume, it is usually, right, the big move has happened. To get a big move to follow through here is rare, but today is an important day. Maybe today is one of those days where you do have a big move to the upside. CPI comes lower than expected. And yeah, everything's fine. Inflation actually going down, and we suddenly get a massive big reaction pump here, not only for Bitcoin, eventually for the stock market. Who knows, right? Who knows the outcome? But looking at the technical analysis, usually when you start here, your first waves in a higher low and then a big move to the upside with high volume, you usually get exhausted here. This is the zone where you usually get exhausted to then get a pullback. It's what usually happens when we go with the technicals, right? But today's a special day, without a doubt. In less than 10 minutes, guys, we got some pretty interesting volatility coming in. There's no doubt there's going to be some kind of volatility. Spike up, spike down, boom, 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 continue up, continue down. Nobody knows, right? We can see here with the votes, 64. There's more people here actually bullish on that. So anyway, historically, CPI always dumps for Bitcoin. That's what we have here, at least for the last 3 months. I mean, with this theory, so maybe a lot of people are looking at the data here from the previous months. Dump, right? Correction, correction after a few days and a couple of weeks, right? Maybe this time, people are expecting CPI to be bearish because the previous ones have been bearish, and then we absolutely rock it, guys. Right? So you just never know at the end of the day. But looking at the charts, it does look like we're getting a bit exhausted. So if you are positioned, make sure to maintain risk, okay? Good risk management, and just be careful here locally, guys, all right? We'll be going through a few scenarios that could happen throughout the next coming days, regardless if we get a gigantic pump or a gigantic dump. We're going to try and, you know, study the possible outcome here for the price of Bitcoin. We need to put a pump to Valhalla. Let's go to 150K. Yes, I still hold most of my spot Bitcoin. I only sold 10% of my spot Bitcoin. I do believe that another all-time high is likely in the next coming weeks, regardless if we take out the low or not. Okay. The highest probability, looking at the higher time frame, is that this massive move down with overlap is likely part of a corrective move, regardless if it's going to take longer, go sideways, or form a sharp double zigzag. The highest probability is all-time high is likely going to be taken one more time, regardless, with an explosive breakout, okay? Or with a shallow breakout, 130, 140, shallow peak. Let's turn the music down, guys. I think it's a bit loud. So overall, I still maintain my spot bag just because the movement down, okay, 90% of my spot bag of Bitcoin that I've been buying throughout the last few years, I still have 90%, guys, because overall, the movement down is not with high volume. It looks very corrective and very overlappy. I'm not scared about this, especially with this rally that we had in the last week. This is good news, okay? The bearish scenarios are literally getting invalidated. That doesn't mean that we could form a sharp double zigzag. Very much a possibility still, very much a possibility. But that would only be good to get into some pretty interesting long positions once we see sign of exhaustion here with the good support levels. Massive order block here from the higher time frame, right? We've got some big levels in this zone, which will only be a good opportunity in my opinion. If not, the low is in and we start rallying here very aggressively. We finally form a nice impulsive move. Correction, we'll have to look for long positions later on. If this does manage to get well above this lower high and it forms a pretty interesting impulse, then in the next couple of weeks, we'll have to look for a good corrective structure, and then off we go to break all-time high, right? Just with a bit of 𝗞𝗏𝗄 drawing here, guys, just so we understand. So high probability on the higher time frame that we do take out this high, because this does look very corrective. We have some doubts right now with this movement up. There is a squeezed scenario where you can count this as a bullish structure, but it counts better as a corrective three-wave move for the moment, guys, unless we are proven otherwise with massive rally, massive big breakout here, you know, heading to $117,000, $118,000. So let's go right away through the comment section. Buenos dias, Diana, how are you doing? Let's pray BTC dumps to 105, better correction, better position for big money to pump to 200K. Well, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. I think too many people want that correction as well, which is making me doubt a little bit. No dump, only pump, says TXRX. Next stop, Valhalla. Maybe. Classic September. Well, we do know with data, I mean, this September has been different from the previous Septembers, right? Where we do have September being quite a bearish month for Bitcoin in the past, right? Throughout the last decade, September's usually been quite bearish. Okay, except for the previous 2 years, and for now, the first 10, 11 days of September, we actually 5% up. So will this be different? Will it end up 10% up, right? Or 15%? And we're not repeating history here, right? Let's go through the comment section here, continue, and we'll talk about the different scenarios. Well, what about the short? Well, the short, as mentioned, depending on your strategy, you need to take it as you wish, okay? You're either looking for swing shorts, you are either looking for a sign of weakness, first of all, which would be eventually a big breakdown to claim the higher lows in a 5-wave structure. Look for the bounce, obviously look for lower later on. You can take the risk of getting in here with low capital. That's all depending on your strategy, right? This is really, you know, high risk taking a trade in this zone if you're speculating on a movement down. However, if you manage risk and you're willing to take it, you know, if it's a small loss, depending where your stop loss is, that is okay. You know, you also have the double, triple top scenarios. You know how to do this, guys, right? We explained this many, many times on the streams, right? Double local top, right? Protect position. If you do end up breaking out, get stopped out close to break even from the double top. If you double top again, you can snipe a short again, protect the position as you move down. And if you just go to higher levels, you know, according to the scalping strategy here, all right, scalping entry, which is sniper trading, right? The double top, triple tops. Just be defensive, right? If you were to break out and get stopped out at break even, you're no longer interested, right? According to the scalping strategy here, which is snipering those highs, you know, and be defensive. You're no longer interested if you get a massive breakout here, okay? So you take that with a pinch of salt, guys. You know the deal. You know the deal. We need to analyze a little bit. Well, we got CPI data. We're just going to enjoy the price action, guys, because in 1 minute we got CPI data. We're going to be taking a look at that right away. First short target at 8K. My goodness. CPI data, if you're risky and willing to take it, love it when he talks risky. Exactly. Risk it for the biscuit, but maintain risk, guys. Okay. Not worth, you know, really getting into a big position. So let's see. We have CPI data coming out right now. We are getting the price pumping. Ooh, 2.9. Oh, we got a bit of pump and dump. 2.9. It is a little bit higher than expected. We got a little bit of a pump and dump going on right now. Little bit of, oh, we just claimed the highs. So that was a quick sniper trade, guys. It was a quick sniper trade. Let's take a look at the stock market. Stock market not really having a major reaction at the moment. Oof, Bitcoin taking a little bit of a dip right now. Bitcoin is dipping here ever so slightly. Quick double top, guys, only for the quick, you know, sniper traders out there. This is the thing, right? This is the thing. Quick dump and pump right now happening. Let's take a look here at the value range. A bit of local volatility. Quick little wick down here, guys. Holy smokes. A lot of people saying that this could have been bullish. It might be a dump and pump, guys. We never know here with the news. What's going on with Tradingview here? It's acting a little bit funky. Bit of a dump and pump. S&P 500. Not doing much. Not doing much here. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Not doing too much. A quick dump and pump. Price is pumping right now. Ooh, local volatility. A quick dump and pump. This is only for the quick traders, guys. VWAP is in the middle. Quick dump to sweep up the lows. What a wick to the downside. What a major wick that we've had here. Wow, stock market not really reacting too much with this news, guys, with the CPI data. It came out at 2.9%. Inflation rate 0.4, so it is slightly higher than expected. Forecast was 0.3, at least here on Trading Economics. 3.1, the core inflation remains the same. Core inflation remains the same, and inflation rate is slightly higher. 0.1 than expected. So nothing too major. Nothing too major here. Of course, that can affect the interest rate decision, which is coming in September. I mean, for the moment, this maybe might affect in the next coming days if we are going to get interest rate cuts or not, right? If inflation is still sticky, maybe the rate cuts are not going to happen, guys. I mean, for the moment, it is 92% certain that we are going to get 25 basis points. I don't know. We're almost hitting 3% inflation here. Let's see how this change, this possibly changes in the next couple of days, right? Before the weekend, maybe. Let's see in between tonight and tomorrow. If inflation is still a little bit sticky, let's see. Anyway, let's take a look here at the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, and then we'll go through the technical analysis legends and really try and understand what's going on. I love volatility printing. Quick double top, guys, for all of the aggressive scalpers out there. I mean, this is like an insanely difficult sniper trade, right? We do talk about when you get, we talked about this yesterday. When you have the big move to the upside with high volume, okay, regardless if you're breaking out a major resistance or not, when you do have the movement with high volume, and this was explained yesterday, guys, what is very common is you do get the price action after creating a significant correction in time after a high volume move to the upside, which you always want to try and label your wave for. After a big move to the upside with high volume, you usually don't successfully break above the next highs. If anybody was here yesterday, we were talking about this on stream, right? So the big move did happen here, and usually when you form a larger correction after a big move, you do not expect a significant move later on when you test the highs. It's not very common. And obviously with that theory, you do expect double, triple top scenarios after a big move and a correction, right? So, I mean, it is a sniper trade. Just as we had the news, it did dump just about $1,000. This is for the aggressive scalpers, guys, right? For the aggressive scalpers that want to sniper, then, that's the scenario here. NASDAQ, not doing much. A little bit of a pump and dump here, but in the range still. not major volatility. Anyway, let's go through the comment section, and then we're going to go through the different scenarios. There is a possibility that you are still in your wave 4. Potentially you have formed here some kind of a running flat. I mean, it is a possibility. This is the tricky part when you look at elite wave theory. Maybe all of this is part of a wave 4 in a running flat, and you do get another squeezed move to the upside to hit major levels of resistance. Okay, it is a possibility. Now, the overall question is, was this the local high? Or is this a flat right over here, a running flat? And then you create one more high throughout the next coming hours, and try and hit 115K, maybe 116K, right? Maybe, guys. But what we want to talk about is the different possibilities here, right? The different possibilities. Hang on a second. My mouse is not playing ball here with me today. So let's go through comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. CG what's going on, brother? Thank you for joining the stream. What are the levels to short? We're going to talk about that right away, okay? Depending on what style, right? If you're looking for intraday scalps, okay? As mentioned yesterday, these are sniper trades, local double, triple tops. This one was very difficult, okay? But if the price does want to get another pump to claim the highs again, we need to label all of this as your fourth wave. Running flat in your fourth wave if the price does manage to create another impulse to the upside, right? Which is very possible, very possible. We just swept the local lows, and instead of this being the 5-wave move to the upside, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right over here, right, with this high, instead of this, well, what we're looking at here is maybe this is the fourth wave with a running flat, and maybe your fifth wave is actually going to extend a little higher. Muy posible. Muy posible. So overall, this is a possibility, right? Unless you're kind of wanting to get into the local double tops, which is, always a plan after a major big breakout, major move with high volume. You correct. You can see that this is a solid correction. And usually you can kind of double top or triple top, right? And then get the pullback. This was explained on yesterday's stream. So you can do that eventually. Double top here, triple top, and sniper that trade. But for the big movement down, if it is going to happen, well, the question is, right now, it depends on your style of trading. If you're looking for scalps or swing trading shorts. Question is this the high? If it were not to be the high, and we speculate that this is a running flat in your wave 4, and then suddenly this pump corrects down, you get another pump big with volume. We want to label that as your internal wave 3, and then your wave 5 here, right? Because we're talking about this 3, 2, right, 1. Well, you want to see a nice big spike and high volume. That is the moment that you realize that you're likely going to top out. So what are the major levels that we do have here? We mentioned these levels as well. Maybe the top is in, guys, here locally. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was it. You take that decision. You need to, I mean, this was very complex. This happened exactly when the news came out. So it was a quick pump and dump, take the highs and then the lows. But overall, if we were to pump to the upside, well, we got some interesting levels. We got naked point of control, weekly naked point of control. We do have the previous month open, which is eventually a monthly level also. Okay, it is a monthly level. That's the close and open from July and August. So it's the August open. Interesting levels to the upside. Can these levels be front runned? Could this been the high right there? And now we're going to start correcting down throughout the next couple of days. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it is definitely possible because your biggest wave that happened yesterday with high volume, when you do get this correction, you know, it is very common to create these double, triple tops, because that would be your wave 1, wave 3, wave 4, and then wave 5. The overall question here, like I mentioned before, is this your wave 4 and this is your wave 5, or is all of this your wave 4 in a running flat, and now you're going to be forming that wave 5, where it is going to struggle here, where we have this massive amount of resistance. Weekly naked point of control at 115.1k. You got a daily naked point of control at 114.7. You have the previous month open of August at 115.6.7. And you're going to try and battle these levels with your next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we could be labeling as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? We do try to extend a little bit higher. What is very interesting when we do take a look at the price action of the last 2 weeks is, if I'm honest with you, this movement to the upside does not look too bullish, in my opinion, as a 1, 2, another 1, 2 here. Maybe you can fit another 1, 2 right over here, and you got a triple 1, 2. If this is your wave 3, right, or maybe another 1 and 2, you really need to start rocketing from here. There is a chance of this to be a multiple 1, 2, just because there is a chance that all of this movement to the downside has been a corrective structure, okay, which would be this one right over here. Maybe, you know, this is building up. I don't like it too much, if I'm honest. I don't like this choppiness that we have formed in the last 1 to 2 weeks. It counts better, and you know, it does count better that this structure has been some kind of a triangle, okay? Running triangle, right? Where your B wave takes the start of your A wave. It does count very nicely as a running triangle. And there is some issues with a running triangle or a triangle, doesn't matter, or a barrier triangle. In the triangle, okay, and it does count better as a triangle. There is magical ways of counting this as a wave 1, 2, another 1 and 2, and another 1, 2 here. You can technically count it, okay? Or a WXY, which doesn't fit very nicely here. The problem with a triangle is that triangles are not available for a wave 2. They're not available. It just doesn't exist. Triangles are for wave 4s, wave Bs, wave Xs, but not wave 2s. And eventually, if you have a triangle in a wave 2, you realize that a wave 3, to get an explosive breakout in the next coming days, not looking too great with the probabilities. So, with that theory, if we were to fit a triangle here in a WXY or an ABC, where you have your impulsive move to the upside here, right, in a 5-wave structure, even though you have a running flat and your wave 2 here, bit messy, but it fits better. Then you have your running triangle, A, B, C, D, E. You want 5 waves inside of a triangle. Here you have them, as you can see. And then the next move to the upside. Something interesting when we do consider Elliott wave theory, okay? When you look for an A, B, and C, your C wave targets from a regular zigzag, okay? A regular zigzag would be 3 wave up, 3 wave down, okay? 3 wave up, sorry, 5 wave up, 3 down, 5 wave up. Your regular target is in between the 1-to-1 to the 1236 Fibonacci extension. This is your common target zone when you have a regular zigzag. And a regular zigzag means you have 5 waves up, 3 waves down, 5 waves up, okay? In an ABC. This is your common target zone. But when you have a triangle in your wave B, the common target zones is in between the 1.618 the 0618, sorry, and the 1-to-1 extension. That's usually the common target area instead of the 1-to-1 to the 1236. Where the price is struggling today with this volatility is the 0618. When you do take a look at the A wave all the way down to the B wave, we are exactly at the 0618 where we're getting this choppiness. It is also common to almost reach the 1-to-1, which is $116,000 approximately. So this is like the area where the price could struggle, right? Which is getting that volatility. Something to point right there when we do consider if this is the correct count, right? ABC triangle, we're already hitting the minimum target zone, which is the 0618. You let me know down below in the description. We'll be talking about the levels, okay? Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Oof, wow, major. Now it's getting the volatility. Volatility kicked in late here. Unless I'm not paying for the data. Oh yeah, I probably didn't pay for the next month, guys. That's maybe why, because we did get that volatility. Dump and pump. Yeah, it seems like my data on NASDAQ and the stock market is not coming in nicely for some reason. We'll have to check that later on because it's 10 minutes late. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. I'm going to go and take a look at the... my mouse is not playing ball here, guys, so I need to change my mouse. I forgot to charge the mouse legends, so just pointing the mouse here. Yeah, this is the mouse has died. Let's go right away through the comment section, okay? And this is a little bit of the plan, okay? Local volatility, we are getting a bit of a pump right now. Dump and pump, swept the lows. Not very interested here on this volatility legends, okay? Local volatility. If the price does manage to rally, then what I'm going to be paying attention is, can we form an impulsive move here throughout today and tomorrow? If this was not the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then potentially this is your fourth wave in a running flat. And if price does manage throughout the next coming hours, what I would be looking for is a 5-wave structure and hit the resistance. I need the high volume in the middle, okay, just like we did here. 1, 2, 3, high volume in the middle. The overall question right now is, was this 4 and this 5, or was this 4 and we're gonna get one more? We're gonna get one more stretch here to the upside to hit 114.8, 115.2, where we do have the next levels of resistance, okay? So it's a matter here of being a little bit patient to see if we are going to get this movement up and get exhausted after the big wave, right? Which should be the third wave inside of these micro waves right there, right? Let's see if we do get this kind of price action throughout the next coming hours eventually. I don't expect this to happen in the next few minutes, but we'll have to see that. So NASDAQ did get that volatility, dump, pump, then dump again. So not looking extremely great. If you do have higher inflation, it is the natural reaction in the short term to get that dump, okay? Which is literally what happened. Very, very locally, nothing too major. Let's go through the comment section. Watch World, how you doing? Much love. Hello, Andy. Yes. Food trading, it dumped suddenly. Put the likes, people. Smash up the like button, legends, if you wish. I wanted to short yesterday. Did you already? That is the main question, right? Am I in a short? You know, this is reserved eventually for the premium community, what I am looking for, how I'm managing my next trades, all right, is reserved for the premium community. But I'm going to tell you one thing. For this to be bullish, we would really have to start ripping in the next couple of days, between today and tomorrow, preferably before the weekend, which is a possibility. The main reason why there is a possibility is because this movement does look corrective instead of impulsive. Instead of a leading move down in an impulse, right? It does look more corrective, okay? And the overall question here right now, based on this movement down, is, do we have this as a ABC zigzag? And this right over here is going to be a corrective wave, meaning that this is your wave W and you are forming your wave X throughout the last 1 to 2 weeks, right? That is the main question right now, okay? There is a way of counting this being bullish, but we're running out of time. You know, this leg to the upside should already be part of your wave 3 as you're breaking up. If this is going to reject down here like this in the next couple of days, it's not going to be looking too great for this to be a multiple 1-2, just because your last wave here to be a fourth 1 and 2 is much longer, all right, than your previous ones. But we would give it a chance, okay? We would give it a chance just because this is a 3-wave corrective structure. So ultimately, the big speculation on the chart right now is, will we move up to all-time high from here, all right, in the next couple of weeks? Or will we reject in this zone, potentially claim this low, and then move to all-time high? This is the overall question right now that we have looking at the charts. We do realize that new all-time highs is highly likely for the next, few weeks, regardless if you take out the low or not. I prefer that the corrective structure from all-time high is likely going to extend. And there's one reason here. There's one reason why. One main reason why. And it all has to do with the movement up that we had since April. Okay? When we do take a look at the movement from April, lows at $75,000. This was an incredible rally to the upside that you can count 5 waves, as you can see. For this to be the correction and come all the way up to all-time high in the next 1 to 2 weeks would be too fast in time for a proper pullback. It's just data that you get from the last few decades, not on the price of Bitcoin eventually, that this would be a shallow pullback when we talk about time. When you've had such a major impulsive move to the upside, for this to be the low, all right, after finishing 5 waves, for this to be the low, and then get a rally here in the next 1 to 2 weeks to claim all-time high, would be rare based on timing. It is rare based on timing. Okay? Over 80% of the times, you do at least cross the 0.382 Fibonacci time from the low, okay, of your impulse to the end of the impulse. And this is coming to the end of September. There's still a couple of weeks here. So yeah, it would be rare, but it's very much possible, okay? It's very much possible just because you have a corrective move down. So this is why the overall question here is the low in? Looking at timing, I would prefer a larger corrective structure. Claiming the low or not claiming the low, forming a sideways WXY also, where you form a triangle or a flat later on in this zone. That's the preferred scenario purely based on timing here. Technically, the market structure leads the way. So if you do have market structure being bullish on the higher time frame, this being a corrective structure that you can count as an ABC or a WXY, you have both scenarios here being possible on this movement down. Okay, either a WXY or an ABC, you can count both scenarios here. If it is a WXY, then eventually that would be the end of the correction, and we are looking for higher prices eventually, right, to take out all-time high at some point in the next couple of weeks. But the main problem here is the movement to the upside. The main problem is this movement to the upside, which doesn't look too great to start a major rally, right? If this is your first waves as an impulse, and you should be breaking here in a wave 3 in the next couple of days, give or take, right? If you're breaking the highs of a major resistance level, you want to skyrocket. You want a big move. You want the price to absolutely pump and rip if you're forming multiple 1-2s and you're breaking the resistance. When you are dancing around like this, after breaking the resistance highs, and you're not flying here to create that wave 3, time right now is against the bulls. If they don't start pushing in the next 1 to 2 days, weekend is coming up, probabilities are decreasing. Of course, there would be a way in identifying the possible pullback here, right? Because from the rally that we had of the lows created on Tuesday, you can count an impulse here, right? We do label this the movement down, the first move up from the 1st of September to the recent highs, this one right over here. This is a wave. Then this is not a wave, you don't break out, it's a fake out from the highs. So it's all part of a corrective structure. It's all part of a sideways momentum. So you want to label all of this as one wave. This, there's no new wave created here. You don't correct down and you form another wave breaking out. You maintain sideways momentum. So all of this becomes a possible wave. You got one wave up, sideways wave for a corrective structure that can be that triangle, right? Can be this triangle right over here. Where is it? For some reason, yeah, there it is, right? This triangle right over here. And now we have a breakout, right? We have left the zone, which is this new wave to the upside, right? So you can clearly see that what we are looking at here is one wave up, sideways. This doesn't go anywhere. And now we are breaking the highs, right? Throughout the last 24 hours. 3-wave structure. If this is going to be some kind of a bullish 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, you want to start mooning here really in a breakout of a major resistance in a possible wave 3, right? So you should be actually breaking out here very aggressively. We could give a chance here that after this impulsive move, whenever it finishes, that if we do correct down, we form a bit of a wedgie structure, you get overlap here, and it does look very corrective. It could be another wave 2, and it's a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. We'll be paying attention to this without a doubt, because if we do reject in the next coming days, I would like to see some pretty aggressive move down, okay? Regardless if this is the high or not, or we create one more high. I want to see the price really tanking pretty aggressively. Okay, that's the moment that I will realize that the highest probability that this was a 3-wave structure. The moment you get an aggressive dump down, staircase up, elevator down, and you drop down, $4,000 or $5,000, that's the moment that you realize that this uptrend structure is no longer powerful. This would be like the confirmation that this is the end of the uptrend that we had in September. Once we get this movement down, and as the price action for every asset moves in either 3 waves or 5 waves, we know that this would be a 3-wave move that has finished once you get the first aggressive move down. And as we do know that this is how the market moves, what we would look for is this forming another wave to the downside, because you don't move only in one wave and then move up, right? Especially if it's a 5-wave impulsive move down. You would expect some kind of a corrective structure, regardless being sideways, regardless being zigzag, and then you would want to jump in to the short position later on, right? So the moment you get that aggressive move down, it's not going to nuke down here to $105,000 in a straight line, even though we do know that when you take the elevator down, things can get aggressive pretty quickly and the bounces can be very, very shallow, right? So that's the main thing here. You might extremely dump, $3,000, and then the bounce is very shallow to the 382, and then you nuke down again, right? This is the problem when you look for the pullbacks. The pullbacks can be, pretty steep, or they can be shallow. And the best example here to show you from shallow pullbacks, we can go to the 30-minute time frame here and zoom out, is this right over here, right? From all-time high. You got the big elevator down from all-time high. You want to see a nice pullback to the 50%, right? At least the 382, 50% zone, to then consider maybe looking for the short. Well, when we do take a look at, holy moly, what am I doing? When we do take a look at that, okay, my goodness. Let me just clear this out, guys. Things happen fast. You get a movement down from all-time high, very shallow pullback, continuation, right? And you're like, oh, I was waiting for the pullback. I was waiting for the bounce. I missed it. So sometimes you can get these shallow pullbacks. I did not enter a short from all-time high here. I didn't manage to short here because I wanted to short higher after taking out these highs. It never happened, guys. This was a move that happened here mid-August, late August, that I missed completely. I missed completely this rejection. So, yeah, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. Anyway, I prefer this to be a 3-wave move, okay? Clear triangle here in the middle. ABC. To find some kind of an impulsive move here, the start of an impulse, doesn't look too sexy, guys. It doesn't look too sexy. So I think we're going to have a larger range and a larger correction for the next couple of weeks before heading up to all-time high. Anyway, that's my opinion. Eventually, you can do as you wish. And let's go through the comment section and say hello to the rest of the legends here. And say hello, guys. In the pinned comment, you can send me, or the first link down below, guys, you can send me a DM with VIP directly to my Telegram, guys, if you want to join the VIP where I'm sharing my trades, okay? Also, Dylan, who's absolutely been ripping it with some altcoins, okay? Latest one was on 𝗬 on the VIP channel, guys. Nice profits on 𝗬 provided on a setup from Dylan, guys. This was the latest altcoin one. If you're interested in joining this, you can send me a DM right away, directly, guys. Let's go right away. Good morning, everyone. How much is the VIP? The VIP is simple. You just need to sign up with one of the links down below in the description. Bluffin, Weeks, BTCC, okay? They all got incredible bonuses, guys. Bluffin does have 10% cash back on your deposit. You also get VIP depending on what you deposit. just use one of the exchanges with the links down below and we'll get you in the VIP, okay? That's how easy it is. Andy, the best trader ever. Far away from the best trader, my man. Far away from it. But I'm okay. Let's say that we're okay. Andy, is there any bullish scenario you can see? Very good question, Yanis. There always has to be a bullish case scenario, okay? Always has to be a bullish case. You can't only be bearish or only be bullish. I prefer the bearish case scenario, I have to say. I prefer the bearish case scenario just because this movement to the upside doesn't look too great as an impulse, okay? It doesn't look too great to start a major rally to the upside. And when you do break a major neckline in this case, you also have the anchored VWAP from all-time high that was broken. Let's be honest, it did backtest it as support. Also with the neckline, look at this. Anchored VWAP from all-time high, providing resistance the last few days. Broke out yesterday, backtested it as support with the resistance support flip neckline, okay, from the inverted head and shoulder. However, when we break these kind of levels, you know, I prefer to see the price action, you know, really take a significant move up, right? At least a few $1,000s more to the upside, which has not been the case, right? And we're getting a little bit of exhaustion here after the big move to the upside that we had yesterday, right? This was the big move yesterday, breaking out with high volume. And if this breakout with high volume only managed to pump $1,000 above the major resistance and is getting this choppiness, it's not that powerful, right? It's not that powerful. This is a major crucial resistance level that needs to be broken with power, a few $1,000s to the upside. None of this BS and getting this choppiness, guys. It doesn't look too promising, right? So when we consider the higher time frame, you know, it is a crucial zone. It is a crucial zone. We got packed of resistance levels to the upside as well, in between 114.6 and 115.7. So it's going to be a major issue here to get above, you know, all of this zone. You could technically say that the value area low, unless you're counting this price action as well, we are above the value area low if you wish. But you know, sometimes I don't like to count this price action, right? When you do have a range here, right? I don't like to count this range to pack it in the value area low. Value area low, technically from this range, is right over here at 115k zone, right? Where you have that high volume spike. That's where you have the weekly naked point of control. A lot of resistance in this area. And you know, when we do talk about the Elliott wave theory scenarios, for this to be bullish, it's not too great, guys. It's not too great. This price action is BS. It's BS price action, guys. And when you break a major neckline from an inverted head and shoulder, and if you have multiple 1-2 setup, right, you really want to see some steam kicking in here. If you are building up some 1-2s, you really want to see steam. I mean, all of this will be known as well if the pullback is corrective throughout the next coming days. I mean, and the weekend is coming up, so maybe it does. We do realize that this is impulsive. It's very nice. You got your first wave to the upside correction, nice volume spike, and then the choppiness here, which eventually, you know, you're looking for a wave 5. So the main issue here right now is, yeah, this is okay to be a 5-wave structure to finish a correction, right? Which would be this one right over here. You know, just a zigzag move. A wave, triangle and B wave, C wave, which you need an impulse to finish a C wave. So the overall question here is, Are we going to nuke down in an impulse? Preferably we take out these higher lows. That would be awesome. Get a reaction bounce. Very corrective, very choppy. This would be the ultimate sign that we are very likely going to roll over and take out the lows at 107.2k. This would be the ultimate confirmation. So the other bullish side here is we move down, we bounce, we get another move down, and we bounce very nicely here. And then you're like, hang on a minute, this is not looking very impulsive, right? The third wave did not follow through. If you do not follow through on the third wave and you get an epic bounce to overlap your wave 1, potentially your wave 2, right, on the bearish case scenario, you realize that this bounce over here is invalidating the bearish count. So, I mean, it would be in our best interest to say, okay, guys, maybe this is actually bullish, regardless if this is a wave 1, WXY here, you know, and then this is your first wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, and 5 of your wave 3. Maybe this is only your wave 1 of your wave 3. It all depends on the movement down. If you wanted to catch the highs, well, you had to sniper trade the double triple top guys. This was explained yesterday. This is the only way to catch the highs. You know, if you really want to catch the highs, you just need to be, you know, glued to the chart, get the alerts, and just try and sniper the double triple tops. It's the only way, right? It's just the only way. So yeah, it's going to be looking interesting to see how the price develops. But the next information will be crucial. There is a chance that you sweep up this low and you double bottom and you form a flat here. Maybe this could be a flat and then you form the wave 5. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 in a flat, then 5. So if you are looking for an aggressive long, sweeping up these lows of yesterday could be an option for the aggressive traders, only if you SFP it. Only if you SFP it. If you do create that SFP, it's very, very common. Sweep the lows and then get acceptance back above. If you want to take that shot for a possible flat here, if you do nuke down from it, then eventually you're not interested in the longs, right? So not looking too great right now. Let's take a look here at the NASDAQ. Nice rally. I'm not sure what it's doing now because I haven't, you know, I don't know what's going on with Tradingview. It's not giving me the data, which I'll have to check later on after the stream. But that's a little bit of what we're looking at here for Bitcoin, guys. Make sure to destroy that like button on your way in, on your way out. If you do like the explanations, I am bullish. I still hold most of my Bitcoin spot bags, guys. Most of my Bitcoin spot bags I am holding. I only sold 10%, and it does look very likely that we're going to hit all-time high at some point before the end of the year. The overall question is, do we form a double zigzag? Do we form a sideways corrective structure? Is the low in right there? If the low is in, as mentioned, you know, we need to see, you know, the price really rocketing here. If this is a correction and it's your wave 2, wave 1 and 2 of your wave 3, it needs to be very choppy, very corrective. If we nuke down very impulsively and claim the higher lows of yesterday, it's not going to be looking good, guys. The structure, uptrend structure of the last 2 weeks will be broken. This will be almost the confirmation of a 3-wave move up. And if this low is taken with a pretty nasty impulsive move, high probability that we're going to take out this low, guys. The moment we create this price action, if it does create it, right, and we take out this low, this higher low with an impulse, it is going to be high probability that we're going to take out this low. So it will be in our best interest to look for short trades, at least to target 107.2. Right? So let the price give you the information, right? Let the price give you the information. I mean, there's many ways in trading this, okay? Many ways. You can be aggressive, try and catch the highs, double, triple top, as mentioned with yesterday's video on live stream, right? We got the big move up. Once we create that fourth wave corrective structure, which we did, okay? Who was here on yesterday's live stream? And let me know if you did listen what we talked about after creating this pump with high volume. We talked about a corrective move to happen relatively long enough. Once that happens, double, triple tops becomes an option to get into the highest point of this short. It was not the best today because we just had CPI data, and you never know if it's going to absolutely pump, dump and pump. You just don't know really the outcome. So you had to be relatively fast if you wanted to catch the ultimate high, right? If you want that very good entry. It's not the best day to execute that trade, if I'm honest. But in theory, it's literally what happened since yesterday's video update. We got the high volume breakout, wait for the wave 4. You're likely going to double or triple top, which is literally what happened with CPI or without CPI. So if you were here on yesterday's live stream, you realize that that's basically what happened, right? That explanation that we gave yesterday is exactly what happened. So if another channel is so good, then why come here? Where's Pac-Man going? I can't believe it. Dylan provided banging trades lately. Enu ripped. Yeah, he's talking about Dylan inside of the Telegram, okay? Inside of the VIP or the pro community. I was here yesterday but didn't listen because I was... Pac-Man, come on, brother. What's going on? Yesterday was... Mudnade. I need to be careful with these comments, Pac-Man, because I can't shout them out loud, okay? Some of them. Anyway, what else do we have, guys? Do we want to take a look at Solana? Do we want to take a look at some altcoins? Today is a little bit of a sad day, guys. I mean, it is the 11th of September. We know what happened 24 years ago. Very sad day in the US. And also, we do have this character, guys. Not sure if you guys know Charlie Kirk, but yeah, he was assassinated yesterday, guys. Which was yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not going to give any opinion on this guy. You know, you either love him or hate him, but overall it's not to shoot somebody, right? Regardless if you hate someone or not. Anyway, we ain't going to go political. I did follow this guy. It was, you know, very interesting talks that he had, but yeah, very sad news with this happening yesterday. But anyway, we're not gonna go deep dive into this. It was pretty crazy, yeah. But anyway, USA. What can we say? What can we say, guys? So sad. Yeah, it was actually pretty sad. Pretty smart guy. I know people hate him. Some people love him. But it's not no reason to take someone's life if you don't like him. But anyway, Ethereum, please. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum's had the most boring price action for over 2 weeks here. It's incredible how boring Ethereum has been. I still remain in part of the short position, something like 15%, 15 to 20% in that short that was taken at all-time high rejection that was provided in the VIP community, also in the pro community, right? The Legends Pro, and held very nicely for over, a week and a half, 2 weeks, taking most of the profits. And we're pretty much stuck on Ethereum, which is very boring. But I have to say, as Bitcoin does have a chance to still range and correct for a little bit longer, I do think that Ethereum has a chance to actually come down slightly lower, give or take the mid 3K range. This would be the sweet spot. This would really be the sweet spot for Ethereum to get interested in a swing long position. Extremely boring. We've just been testing the highs and the lows of the range for over 10 days now. Extremely boring here, range on Ethereum. I mean, if you're scalping, then, you know, short the highs, long the lows, right? With good risk management. When we take into consideration the bigger moves that could happen on Ethereum, as explained, I do think that if we do pump on Ethereum here, that it could very likely form a lower high, just so we form a larger correction, and then take our all-time high before the end of the year, right? Potentially into October or November, right? Give or take. We ain't going to talk about the timing exactly, but it just makes sense, just because the rally that we had throughout June, July, and August, you know, this is not the kind of correction that you would expect the price to absolutely moon. Wave 4s are usually longer than your wave 2s, or at least very similar in time. If you're considering this the wave 2, then yeah, okay, you know, you would buy it. Then you rock it. That's it. It's been a shallow in time wave 4. But it doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem quite right here. The best scenario here would be a little bit of a shakeout. Get people panicking. The top is in, guys. Bear market, right? And then eventually into Q4 of this year, then get the final leg to the upside, regardless if it's taking out 5.5K, $6,000, $7,000. We really need to pay attention to this higher time frame order block, which is where I would expect Ethereum to maintain good support. That's going to be my interest zone to look for long positions. And these are swing longs eventually. These are, you know, this would be big trades. So yeah, I'm still happy to maintain a little bit of that short, just because it's a good entry. All-time high, swing failure pattern, failed auction, failed breakout of all-time high, double top. It's just a good entry. And if we were to sweep up the local lows of this range, then that's a good reason to take the rest of the profits, if that were to be the case. So, and if we pump from here, then so be it. I will have to sell some of my Ethereum spot bags later on. Okay, so there's not much more. I do have a lot of spot bags still on Ethereum. I do think that another all-time high is likely before the end of the year. The same for Bitcoin. New all-time high for Bitcoin is likely, based on the movement down that is corrective. The moment we break the all-time high, I am going to be selling 10%, 20% as we pump above 124K, guys. It is time to unload, because you're going to start hearing some crazy price targets, okay, of $200,000 super cycle, right? We're going to go to 500,000. I don't know, you know, you're going to get major bullish target zones, and there will be a bear market at some point, guys. And staying realistic, you know, I would not expect the price to get above $200,000 in the next coming months. There will be some bear market at some point that could last over a year and can take us down to, you know, 70K, maybe 60K. Just be ready for that. Markets move in cycles. We've had an epic bull run and nothing goes up forever, right? Even though sometimes you have that feeling of, it's Bitcoin, right? This is Bitcoin. It's the hardest digital money that we have in the world. So you always, you know, you never sell all of your Bitcoin, right? I never sell all of my Bitcoin since I started buying in 2018. I only sold 25% in 2021. Rode the rest to the downside. You accumulate more. So you just want to take profits. And this is the main reason why I've only sold 10% of my Bitcoin. I want to sell some more once we reach all-time high. I think there's high probability that we reach all-time high in the next, give or take, 1 to 2 months. It might be a few weeks. And then unload another 10-20% here. Just realizing that you're likely going to lose momentum. It's likely going to lose momentum and peak out at some point. So, but you never sell all of your Bitcoin, because if you go higher, then okay, I've sold 10% here, 10% here, 10% here. Holy smokes, this is going into super cycle. Well, at least I have 60% still of my bags, right? Where I can sell a little bit more if it does end up, you know, absolutely skyrocketing, which I don't think is going to be the case, guys, but you never know. So you just need to scale out and scale in, as we do, right? As we do. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. Not much here. We created that volatility. Pretty stuck at the moment. Not interested in this price action. Very choppy, very choppy. Very choppy price action. Not very interested in this. It would be interesting, guys, to sweep up the lows. And if you do get acceptance back above, it could be a chance that you do create one more high. This could be a flat structure. You need the price to get back above that low to speculate on a possible flat. If you break down below, I would no longer be interested eventually in that long. It's just giving a chance for a flat here in a wave 4. So if you sweep up the local lows, it is an acceptable SFP, just because you have the theory of 1, 2, 3, 4 in a flat, 5. If you sweep up the low, a running flat is very rare and is very difficult to just randomly take the long. So sweeping up the low would be ideal to take that chance, but you need that acceptance back above to take the shot. Okay. Eventually the risk to reward would be nice, like 4 or 5 to 1 risk to reward at least. And if we do form a running flat in this case, right, we don't take out the low, I need to pay attention to a 5-wave move up here coming into all of that resistance. I will be paying attention very, very carefully to how we get up to the highs, if we do so, to then look for the possible short on the 5th wave, hitting the major levels of resistance. Weekly naked point of control or the daily naked point of control. It might even push up to the previous month open at 115.6. It might even rocket from here. Well, if it rockets, then I do not want to be part eventually of taking this position, right? The one that we're talking about right now, if we're just going to absolutely moon. So yeah, that's a little bit it on Bitcoin. Let's go through the comment section. Say hello to the rest of the community. Long ICP. What's ICP doing? Yeah, there is the risk on ICP of taking out the lows, especially if Bitcoin does correct. Okay, if we do take a look at ICP, it's a spot bag, guys. You know, I really could not care less on ICP in the immediate short term. There is that high risk, in my opinion, that the local lows could be taken of this range of the last few months at $4.20. Okay, just be aware of that. That, you know, that there is a chance here, just because this momentum doesn't look too bullish. Okay, it doesn't look bullish at all in a nutshell. But as it's a spot bag, and spot bag is all about buying at low levels, you know, regardless of the price, what it does, you know, once it does this, it doesn't really matter where you bought here when the price gets a major recovery, right? So it depends on a strategy. This is a spot buy strategy, so I couldn't care less of what happens here locally on ICP. Just realizing that the rally will likely come at some point, right? So please take a look at Solana. I was going to get ready that Solana chart, guys, from a couple of weeks ago, which played out pretty nicely. Played out pretty damn nicely. Solana is taking off, really. It is slowly grinding up, continuing here to the upside. Let's take a look at Solana here on Coinbase. This was the plan. This could very much be entering wave 3 territory. We're going to start seeing a bit of resistance here on Solana, which is the point of control of this range. So that's the first major rejection point, which is sitting at $237. But this could absolutely rip, guys. It could absolutely rip. Multiple 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, maybe another 1-2. As explained, if we do retrace to the golden pocket from the last pivot higher low, just as we did in the previous ones, that would be your best ticket to get in before it takes a major move up. And if you lose the lows, you don't want to be in the position. You just don't want to be in that position. A local double bottom for a flat is possible. Just be ready for the outcome here. But this is the kind of price action that you do form to get an explosive breakout. Multiple 1-2s and bang, breakout here. Lots of people would confuse this as an ascending bearish wedge after a movement down, right? Most of the people would believe that this is what happens in an ascending wedge. But when you do have a little bit of Elliott wave theory knowledge, you realize that this is very, very bullish, especially with the impulsive moves up, that this could break out in a third wave. And Solana is maybe, you know, on the way of creating a major rally. Major rally. Okay, so it looks pretty damn good for Solana. IMX daily, weekly, please. Aaron, much love to you. Let's take a look at this. Smash up the like button. We did say that if we do get to 500 likes, we're going to do a $500 giveaway. But it's not going to happen, guys. Not even giving free money. We get people to smash up the like button. So what can we say? What can we do? It is what it is. Let's take a look at IMX here. Is that immutable X? On the daily, the weekly, we got some stuff. We got some boxes here. Little channels. This one is still at the lows of the bear market, basically. It is finding that major consolidation. Yeah, this is, you know, if you are bullish in this with this project, you do have the lows finding a base. And when we do zoom in here on the lower time frames, we can technically say that this, I don't like it. I don't like this move to the upside, unfortunately, guys. From the low, this movement right over here is very three-wavy. You know, this might look like a bullish pennant triangle. Not looking too great. Not looking too great here with that three-wave move to the upside, if I'm honest with you here. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think that maybe the lows can be revisited again, believe it or not. When we move like this in a three-wave structure and a large consolidation overlapping this pivot, this is no longer a multiple 1-2 in my opinion, just because this is too big. Not that bullish on this one. Not that bullish. Not that bullish on IMX. We are above the point of control. Trying to anyway. Yeah. Doesn't look too great in my opinion. At least in the short term. Hit the like button, says Memes. We get to 500 likes, we're going to give $500. We get to 1,000 likes, we'll give $1,000. We get to 2,000 likes, we're going to give $2,000. This is how it's going to work, guys. Okay, so make sure to destroy that like button. How to send your DM on Telegram. This is how you do it. If you click directly on this link down below, it's the first link, you will manage to send me a direct message to my Telegram, okay? And that's where we can jump you into the VIP community. This is where I talk about my trades. Dylan talks about altcoin trades, very successful ones in the last few days. And to get in, you just need to sign up with one of the exchanges down below, guys. Bluffin, Weeks, okay? Choose which one. They all got great bonuses. Bluffin, Weeks, okay? And minimum deposit. And we'll jump you in, right? I'll reach you out later on, okay? It only says you can send to mutual contacts. Well, you can join here the Telegram community down below, okay? You will find me right over there. How about Mantra? Mantra.dAO, they got a massive dump to the downside. Let's take a look at Mantra here. See what's going on with Mantra.dAO. Wow, I mean, yeah, this one eventually had that liquidity issue to the downside. I never got to invest in this one. And eventually, with these major rallies, I mean, people that invested here or in these corrections, wow, they did get hurt big time on this one, depending on if you invested a lot or not. But Mantra.dAO, I mean, let's take a look at this one right over here and zoom in on Mantra.dAO. I'll tell you what, if Mantra.dAO does revisit the lows, which has the potential, this could be an interesting level to enter a long position or buy on spot. Because, you know, usually when you get such an aggressive drop down and you form this bottom formation, you know, this is the zone where you usually get the reactions, regardless if it's going to be a small pump and then come back down. This is the zone where it usually bottoms out. We've been ranging here for over, you know, the last few months, maybe a test of the lows on the higher time frame, on the logarithmic, because we need to go logarithmic after this epic crash. Yeah, I mean, what can we say about this one? Holy smokes. If we consider the lows of the bear market, I mean, this is a pretty interesting big move that happened on Mantra.dAO. A big consolidation right over here. And then the next wave to the upside. You can consider this as a 5-wave move. You get below the 4th wave. Maybe this is opportunity area. Okay, let's flip this into logarithmic and see where we at. Yeah, I mean, would make sense. Golden pocket still not hit from the low to the highs. Bit of a very strong impulsive move. Of course, you got this liquidity crunch that happened on Mantra.dAO, and now you're kind of bottoming out here. This could be the opportunity area, but you know the deal. I'm not sure what what's the deals with the company at the moment, but we did have a major issue with the movement down here on Mantra. You know, basically a liquidity crunch, pure liquidity crunch on the chart on Mantra.dAO. So yeah, Bitcoin not doing much, dropping, bouncing in the range, nothing very interesting. I think it will be interesting if we do take out the highs one more time to identify the exhaustion into levels of resistance. Let's see if that does happen. Bit of local volatility, nothing too major. I will be looking for different plans here on Bitcoin throughout today and tomorrow with the VIP to see what we can do. And yeah, nothing much more has to be talked about here on Bitcoin. Does look like it's holding pretty nicely after the CPI data. So potentially this has been your 4th wave. 1, 2, 3. Running flat in your 4th wave. We get one more high. We'll have to check how we move here to the upside to see if we get that exhaustion. Not much more has to be said, legends, here. That dumped hard. It reacts or it dies. The chart of Mantra reminds me of Luna very much. Rip Mantra.dAO. Yeah, nothing that I would be interested in, me personally, really, after that liquidity crunch. Okay, legends, thank you very much for joining. Gonna wrap it up. I have a meeting right now. Okay, thanks for smashing up the like button. Let's see, we might get to 500 likes one day. Not much that I'm looking here on Bitcoin. I think we could take out the highs. This could be a running flat. A little bit of local volatility, a bit of noise. Let's see what happens throughout today and tomorrow. Not much more has to be said. Trade safe, If you want to join the VIP, you just need to sign up with one of the links down below of these exchanges and join the VIP legends. Thank you very much for joining, and I will see you in the next one.